Golf isn't all polite claps and shiny trophies. It's got a dark side. The PGA's ban list is where ambitious careers are buried. These players didn't just miss a putt, they broke the rules, stirred scandals, and in some cases, blew up their own careers in spectacular fashion. Some claim bad luck, others blame misunderstandings, but the records say otherwise. From shocking drug busts to behavior that made the PGA say, "Pack your bags," here's every banned player's story. Number 1, Scott Stallings. Scott Stallings' story kicks off in 2015. To get why it still matters, you can picture his life back then. He wasn't some wild rule breaker looking for shortcuts. He was a respected PGA Tour pro, the kind of guy fans knew by name. But behind the scenes, he was exhausted, constantly tired in a way that made even walking 18 holes feel like a grind. It wasn't laziness, it was chronic fatigue. It was eating away at both his energy and his career. In search of answers, Stallings tried a supplement, not knowing it had a banned substance hiding in the ingredients list. No shady deals, no secret syringes, just a golfer looking for help who got blindsided by a rule he didn't mean to break. When the truth came out, Stallings could have done what plenty of athletes do: deny, distract, or blame someone else. Instead, he walked right up to the PGA Tour and told them himself. It didn't erase the fact that he broke the rule, but it sure shaped the way the tour saw him. Punishment came, a 3-month suspension, serious enough to leave a mark, but far from career-ending. Number 2, Doug Barron. Doug Barron's name made PGA Tour history in 2009, not the way any golfer dreams about. The tour had just started its anti-doping program, and Barron ended up being the very first player suspended under it. That's one first no one wants. The situation wasn't black and white cheating, though. Barron tested positive for testosterone and propranolol. Sounds bad on paper, but here's the twist. Both were prescribed by his doctors. He had legitimate health problems, a heart condition and low testosterone. The issue? Paperwork. The tour's rules said you needed a therapeutic use exemption, a TUE, to compete while taking those substances. Barron didn't have one in place. The tour handed him a 1-year suspension. Barron wasn't about to sit quietly and let it pass. He went to court, fighting to be allowed to compete in Q school while still suspended. The legal battle got him a partial victory, a retroactive exemption for one of the substances. That meant he could return sooner than expected. Barron's case set an early example for every golfer who came after. Even if your doctor says it's fine, the PGA Tour still needs the paperwork in writing. Number 3, Mark Hensby. Mark Hensby's 2017 case is one of the strangest in tour history. Not because of what he took, but because he never took anything banned at all. He didn't even fail a drug test. Instead, his entire suspension came from refusing to take one in the first place. It happened during a tournament week. The tour's anti-doping officials approached Hensby for a random test. These surprise checks are standard, no big drama. But for reasons even later he admitted were poorly thought out, he said no. Maybe it was frustration. Maybe it was just a bad day. Either way, he didn't realize how big of a mistake it was. The rule is clear and ruthless. Refuse the test, and it's treated exactly the same as failing one. No let's talk about it, no second chances. A few days later, Hensby got the news, a 1-year suspension. The fallout was awkward. He had to keep telling people he hadn't actually taken anything illegal. But the tour didn't care what was in his system. The only thing that mattered was that he refused the process. Hensby later admitted he'd never fully read the anti-doping policy and had no clue how strict the refusal rule was. That lost year was painful. Opportunities in professional golf are rare, and sitting out meant losing valuable ground. But golf's one of those sports that gives comebacks to players who refuse to quit. Hensby put in the work, stayed ready, and when his suspension ended, he returned. By 2023, his persistence paid off. He won on the PGA Tour Champions circuit. It was proof that one bad decision doesn't have to be the final chapter. Number 4, Robert Garrigus. In March 2019, Robert Garrigus became the center of a controversy that had little to do with athletic performance and everything to do with shifting cultural lines. His suspension didn't stem from anabolic steroids or blood doping. It came after he tested positive for marijuana. Under the PGA Tour's policy, marijuana is classified as a drug of abuse, which means a positive test triggers an automatic violation. For the tour, it was a clear-cut case. For much of the public, it was anything but. By 2019, marijuana laws across the United States were in flux. Some states had fully legalized it, others allowed medical use, and several sports leagues were rethinking their bans. To many observers, Garrigus' suspension felt outdated, a relic of a different era. The tour handed him a 3-month suspension and he missed valuable playing time. But instead of quietly serving his time and moving on, Garrigus came back with something to say. At the 3M Open, his first event back, he spoke openly about the situation, questioning whether marijuana should even be on the tour's ban list. He argued that it wasn't a performance enhancer, and in some cases could be used for pain management without the risks associated with opioids or stronger prescription drugs. His comments didn't overturn the rule, but they added fuel to a conversation that was already brewing in locker rooms, boardrooms, and fan discussions. While the PGA Tour has not yet removed marijuana from its prohibited substances, Garrigus' case remains a touchstone whenever the subject comes up. Number 5, Brad Fritsch. If Robert Garrigus' case was about questioning the rules, Brad Frisch's 2018 suspension was about living with the consequences of following them, perhaps a little too late. Frisch's story didn't start with a failed test. It started with a good intention, losing weight to improve his health and hopefully his game. While working toward that goal, he began using a weight loss spray supplement. It seemed harmless, just another tool in the arsenal of an athlete trying to optimize performance. For a while, it was nothing more than part of his routine. One day, while reviewing the product's information more closely, he spotted something alarming. The spray contained DHEA, a hormone that appears on the PGA Tour's ban list. Fritsch didn't wait to be caught. The moment he realized the mistake, he contacted the tour to report it himself. The response from officials was straightforward: a 3-month suspension, effective immediately. The fact that he came forward didn't erase the violation, but it did shape how it was perceived. Publicly, Fritsch was open about his embarrassment. He admitted that he hadn't checked the ingredients thoroughly before using the spray, and he regretted the oversight. But because he had self-reported, fans and peers were far more forgiving. Instead of seeing him as someone trying to cheat, they saw an athlete who made a careless mistake and owned up to it. Still, the incident served as a sharp warning to other players. In professional golf, even an innocent lapse can have serious consequences. Every pill, powder, spray, or supplement is a potential career risk if it contains something on the banned list. Responsibility is always on the player to know exactly what they're putting into their body. Number 6, Matt Every. Matt Every's run-ins with the PGA Tour's rulebook feel like two completely different chapters from two completely different books. Both ended in suspensions, but the reasons couldn't have been more opposite. The first one happened in July 2010 in Bettendorf, Iowa, his rookie season on the tour. Every was just 26, young, talented, and fresh off earning his tour card. Then came the arrest. Police said they smelled marijuana coming from a hotel room where Every was hanging out with 2 friends. A search followed and marijuana was found. Every denied owning it, but later admitted to poor judgment. The PGA Tour didn't waste time. 90 days on the sidelines, 3 months gone. It's a big chunk of tournaments for a young player trying to make a name. This wasn't the end. Every bounced back, slowly rebuilding his career. The comeback peaked in 2014 when he won the Arnold Palmer Invitational, then did it again in 2015. The story had shifted from rookie in trouble to Bay Hill back-to-back champion. Still, that first stumble stayed in his career timeline, a reminder of how fast things can go sideways. Then, almost a decade later, in October 2019, the second strike came, but with a twist. This time it was cannabis again, but not the same kind of situation. Every said it was legally prescribed in Florida to treat a mental health condition. He stressed he wasn't abusing it. But the PGA Tour has a firm policy. If it's on the ban list and you don't have a therapeutic use exemption, you're in violation. The result? A 3-month suspension, longer than his first. Fans debated the fairness, legal medicine for health versus strict tour policy, but the tour stood firm. Every's case became a headline example of how personal health decisions and sports rules can clash in messy public ways. Number 7, Byeong-hun. Plenty of players have been caught using performance enhancers or risky supplements. Byeong-hun's 2023 suspension came from something far more ordinary: a bottle of cough syrup. The South Korean star who made history in 2009 as the youngest U.S. amateur champion ever, had built a strong career with wins on the European Tour and a respected PGA Tour presence. Late in 2023, he came down with a cough while in Korea. Nothing dramatic, just a quick trip to the pharmacy for the over-the-counter medicine. What he didn't know was that the syrup contained an ingredient banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency. It wasn't a performance booster for golf, it was just there as part of the medicine's formula. Under PGA Tour rules, that didn't matter. He reportedly took it once, just 1 dose. Still, the anti-doping test picked it up and the result was a 3-month suspension, retroactive to August 31st, 2023. That meant he could return on December 1st, but the damage was done. Missed tournaments, headlines, and a reminder to every player that I didn't know won't save you. Byeong-hun didn't argue or try to spin the story. He owned it, cooperated fully, and accepted the punishment. The situation became a cautionary tale. Even the simplest mistake, a bottle of cough syrup, can sideline a pro athlete. For players at his level, the lesson's crystal clear. If you're on tour, you don't take anything without checking the ban list first. Even a cold remedy from your hometown pharmacy can cost you a chunk of your season. Number 8, Wesley Bryan. This is where the PGA's Tour's traditionalist side collided with modern creator culture. The result was immediate and harsh. Wesley Bryan, best known for winning the 2017 RBC Heritage, found himself indefinitely suspended in April 25, not for doping, but for content. Bryan participated in a content creation golf event called the Duels Miami, produced by LIV Golf and filmed for YouTube. It was a scramble pairing LIV players with YouTube creators. Sort of golf, sort of entertainment, but not an official tour-sanctioned event. The tour's rulebook states that players must retain media rights exclusivity, and participating in an LIV-backed event, even online content, violates those terms. Bryan was warned and violated, leading to the indefinite suspension. Bryan pushed back, or at least tried. He argued the event wasn't a competitive LIV tournament, but a creative outing. He felt the rule was ambiguous and didn't intend to breach policy. He planned to appeal the decision, citing the conflict between modern media paths and traditional tournament governance. Social media erupted. Fans tagged #FreeWesley. Creators defended his push for golf's modern voice, while purists blamed him for breaking a line. The tour responded with firmness, showing that the digital world doesn't sidestep contractual obligations. Number 9, Hudson Swafford. 5 tournaments shouldn't equal 5 years off, unless you're Hudson Swafford. In 2022, the 3-time PGA Tour winner jumped to LIV Golf without asking the PGA Tour for a conflicting events release. Basically, it's the league's permission slip to play somewhere else during their season. Swafford didn't have it. He teed it up in 5 LIV events anyway. PGA Tour's response? Cool, that's 1 year of suspension for each event. 5 events, 5 years, out until 2027. The timing has conspiracy theory vibes. A lot of LIV contracts end in 2026, so 2027 becomes the earliest a big batch of defectors could come back. Swafford's ban just happens to expire then. Coincidence? Golf Twitter says probably not. For Swafford, the options are slim. He can grind Monday qualifiers, he can survive Q School, or he can bide his time until the calendar flips to 27. Either way, it's a long exile for a guy who was once stacking PGA Tour wins. His case is less about him and more about the tour sending a message. Cross the LIV line without permission, and you're not getting a slap on the wrist. You're getting years in the penalty box. Number 10, Graham McDowell. Graham McDowell probably thought he'd left PGA Tour politics behind when he joined LIV Golf in 2022. But golf has a way of following you. Fast forward to August 24, LIV's Nashville event. McDowell wasn't battling Roy or Rahm, he was battling a stuffy nose. So he reached for a quick fix. Vicks nasal spray. Problem is, one of its active ingredients, levomethamphetamine, sits on the ban list under LIV's anti-doping policy. It's not the kind of name that screams scandal, but rules are rules. McDowell failed the test and LIV came down hard. 1 event suspension, Nashville results wiped out, and a $125,000 fine. That's one expensive cold. McDowell didn't go for the classic I didn't know defense, even though in this case he really didn't know. He admitted it was on him for not checking the ban list and acknowledged he could have applied for a therapeutic use exemption but didn't. It's the kind of slip-up that makes every pro golfer triple-check their medicine cabinet. Last but not least, Wyndham Clark, Oakmont meltdown. The U.S. Open is golf's most grueling test. At Oakmont in 2025, Wyndham Clark couldn't handle the pressure. After missing the cut, Clark stormed in the locker room and unleashed his frustration. Witnesses say he kicked and damaged the locker, a kind of outburst rarely seen in golf's hallowed spaces. Oakmont Country Club responded swiftly. In a stunning move, they banned the defending U.S. Open champion from the property. The conditions for reinstatement? Pay for the damages, attend anger management counseling, and contribute to charity. For Clark, the punishment is more than a fine, it's a stain on his reputation. Just 1 year removed from the highest point of his career, he's now defined by a meltdown at one of golf's most historic courses. In a sport built on patience, composure, and respect, Clark's implosion wasn't just a personal lapse, it was a reminder. At Oakmont, the course isn't the only thing that can break you. The game within the game.